Moving on to iron, the US RDA is a little bit shocking when it comes to iron. You can see for children up to 1 year of age, it's 11 milligrams from 7 to 12 months. And for a male adult, it's 8 milligrams. So you can see they need more iron than an adult man. And for 1 to 3-year-olds, it's 7. For 48-year-olds, it's 10 milligrams. There are a number of factors that can increase the risk of iron deficiency. Number one being premature birth or low birth weight. So we tend to put down iron stores in that last trimester of pregnancy. And if the baby's born early, they will not have the iron stores that would be expected. And almost always they need iron supplementation. Early introduction to cow's milk before 1 year of age is probably the biggest cause of iron deficiency in full-term infants. Cow's milk should not be fed to infants under 1 year of age. And the use of unfortified infant formula can contribute. The late introduction of solid foods over 6 months of age is also a factor. For children and teens, drinking too much milk, over 24 ounces per day of cow's milk between the ages of 1 and 5 is a big risk factor for iron deficiency. Insufficient dietary sources, lead exposure, certain health conditions, chronic infections, heavy menstrual bleeding, can all be significant contributors to iron deficiency. So how do we maximize iron status of children? Well, we want to, number one, moderate the intake of iron absorption inhibitors, phytates, polyphenolic compounds. And the main source here is things like wheat bran, putting these concentrated fiber sources on food. Children don't usually drink tea, so that's not a big issue there. We want to boost our intake. This is a big issue for children of iron absorption enhancers. So, for example, if a child's eating lentils or some iron-rich food, you want to make sure at the same meal they're having some vitamin C rich food. So it could be citrus fruit. It could be something like red peppers or other vegetables. And other iron absorption enhancers are vitamin C, carotenoid-rich foods, and allium vegetables like garlic and onions. We want to replace meat with legumes rather than dairy. So one of the big mistakes that people who are shifting to a plant-based diet often make is they just switch out meat. They switch out, the meat for a cheese pizza or macaroni and cheese or all of these cheese laden foods that they're familiar with. And dairy is actually a poor source of iron, and it actually inhibits the absorption of iron. So when people do that, it encourages iron deficiency. So you want to replace meat with iron-rich plant foods like legumes to help ensure iron status is maintained. And select iron-rich foods within each food group as well. And that means, in the nut and seed group, for example, pumpkin seeds, cashews are reasonable sources. Within the bean group, white beans and black beans are good sources. Lentils are an excellent source of iron. So just getting familiar with the sources of iron is really helpful. And then in terms of iron supplements, as I mentioned, the AAP suggests this 1 milligram per kilogram from 4 months until solid foods, but that's controversial in premature infants requiring often 2 milligrams per kilogram. So that is something to be aware of. And do children need iron supplements? Well, normally iron is tested at about 1 year of age, and so you kind of go from there. Supplement if indicated, and if you do use a multivitamin, you may want to select one with iron if your child's iron levels are a little bit on the edge.